Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Empower Hour. My name is Adriana Spizzafero, and I am one half of Peace and Plenty, along with Amanda Barnhart. And today on the Empower Hour, we are going to be talking with Julie Deem. She is the founder and host of the United State of Women podcast. She's also, you can find her on Instagram as Indie Mompreneur, sorry. We're going to be talking with her today about running a podcast, about what it's like to be a work-from-home mom, work-from-home mompreneur, and she's going to be sharing tons and tons of knowledge. So when she jumps on, we will bring her on screen and we will just have some fun. So, very excited. If you are new to the Empower Hour, today and every other Wednesday, what we do is we interview entrepreneurs. It's by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And we just, talk about life, talk about their careers, talk about what's going on, talk about their experiences, all these things. So it's a lot of fun. And they always have nuggets of information. So if you ever know of anybody that would be a great fit for this video podcast, we would love to have them. Hello. So I'm just going to wait for Julie. I don't know where she is. Let's find her. Hello. Let us find my friend. Good afternoon. So where is everybody tuning in from? And if you are joining us on the replay, wherever you watch this, please be sure to post any questions in the comments. There she is. Let me get her. Yay. Julie.
Oh, look at me. You're all backwards.
I see that.
Ah, I don't even know how to flip me around.
You tap your screen and there should be an arrow that
Oh, look. I don't get it. Look at that.
Ah, there you are.
Okay.
Hello, my friend. Hello.
How are you doing?
I am good. 4 o'clock snuck up on me very fast, so here we are.
Yeah, I understand. Is it raining where you guys are?
Oh yeah, it's nasty. Where are you, by the way?
In Indiana, central Indiana.
Oh, okay. I'm in Maine. It's crazy.
It's raining everywhere. It seemed like it was just kind of moving all that way.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for being here. I just did a little spiel about how this is going to go and just a little bit about you. So now that you are here, I would love for you to just take over and share who you are, your story, your entrepreneurial journey, and we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for, inviting me to be out here. I'm so excited to share with your audience, and including mine. I hope, a lot of my friends will hop on here today. My name's Julie Deem, and back, 3 years ago, I wanted to start a podcast, and I pitched the idea to a team of volunteers that were involved with an annual event here in our community, and it was a brunch, an all-day brunch for executive women, and we connected them, and it was a leadership day, networking day, and it was a really fun, jam-packed day, and I thought it would be really cool if we started a podcast that really empowered women and connected them more to their power, their purpose, and their plan. And I thought it would be really, fun to see if we could, bring that event outside of our community and really just meet other women that were doing great things. And that was in 2019. So we launched that podcast in September. Everyone loved the idea, and to do that, I needed to spend time here locally. At the time, I was driving an hour away.
Oh, wow.
2 hours round trip, multiple days a week, and if I wanted to learn how to podcast, I needed to spend more time here, and it gave me the freedom to, be with my family more, right, as a result, and that's where I decided to open my own private massage practice. It was actually right next door to our podcast studio, so we had 2 suites here in our Chamber of Commerce building. I would do massages, and then in between I would interview or edit podcasts, and it worked out great. Fast forward a year, the world shut down, right? 2020, March. Right when I was in like building the momentum of having a business and really navigating having a podcast, I was stuck at home like everyone else. And that's when I really decided, you know what? We don't really know what's going to happen. This might be a 2-week thing, this might be a 1-month thing, and as we've come to find out, it's still an ongoing thing. So I decided at that time to leave my job that I still was hanging on to a couple days a week, an hour out of town, and just go all in with a business from my home. So to this day, that's where the business podcast editor came. I learned that there was a major barrier for women in terms of podcasting. Women only make up about a quarter of the podcast industry, and while that number is still growing, I found that a lot of women were intimidated by the idea of starting a podcast just because of the technical sides of it, and that's where my services really came into play to really empower those women to step out of their comfort zone and give podcasting a try. Since then, I've been back to massaging, and now I still have podcasts, and I manage podcasts, and I co-host podcasts.
So did you just say less than 1%?
25%, less than a quarter. Yeah. No, not that. That's good.
That's unbelievable. So I want to learn more about that, because this is our version of a podcast, right? A video podcast. So
yeah.
What do you think is the reason that there's, less than a quarter of podcast hosts are female? Like, one, why do you think that is? And two, what does it take to start a podcast? What do you have to put into it? How does it work? Where does it, like, all the things?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think when it comes to starting a podcast, a lot of people, want a podcast, but they're not really sure where to begin. And so they found doing things like, IG Live or YouTube as an alternative to meet their audience and still generate that connection. And if they wanted to start a podcast, there's so many free resources out there that they might be getting overwhelmed, right? So they start to watch videos, they start to download all the free guides, and next thing you know, they haven't really done anything. And so maybe they haven't even looked into, Instagram Live as an option or podcasting.
Right. Oh my gosh. So did you have to do like a ton of research to get started? Or did you just, like, how long did it take you to actually get started?
Yeah, so we actually, Colleen and I, went in and invested in a course. And at the time, shout out to Greg Clunis, we invested in the person that inspired me to start a podcast. He has a podcast called Tiny Leaps, Big Changes. And so I personally reached out to him and see if he would be willing to help us. At the time, he was actually putting together a course called PodSpark, which has since been, no longer. He's blown up so much now that he didn't have to worry about having a course. So, through that, I really was able to figure out, how to put a show together, how to edit the show, equipment, all the foundational pieces. But then beyond that, there were so many painful challenges in terms of technology. At the time, there weren't a ton of places to host your podcast. So when I went to host our podcast, I had to manually search every platform. So, for example, if I wanted to be on Apple, I needed to go and find the link and figure out how to get it on there. There was no real easy way of doing it. But then when we had to move, after the first season, we left that hosting platform, we lost all of our analytics.
Oh my God.
And so serious? It's like things like that. Yeah. And you're like, oh, you feel like you're starting all over.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot, that as much as we thought investing in a course was going to help us, that you really couldn't learn until you started doing it and got that experience.
Wow. So how do you, I have so many questions about this, because this is not, we call it a vodcast, but it's not, we aren't on any other platform. We do it all through Instagram Live, and then we share it to our YouTube. So so how do you go about finding a platform? How do you go about
oh my gosh, Adriana,
your idea, right, to a platform, to finding guests, really, right?
For sure. So there's a couple things, right? Depending on what you're looking for, Anchor, for example, is free. So if you were to use Anchor.fm and you signed up, they are actually owned by Spotify. So you can guarantee your show is automatically going to be pushed out to Spotify. But beyond that, They have an incredible help center. Their customer support is great, and they help you through the links and the process of actually getting set up.
Okay.
And then I think about with your IG Live, if you were to say, want to stream directly through your podcasting channel, there's software that actually helps you distribute live streaming right to podcasting. So you have Restream.io. It's restream.io, and what it does is, while you're streaming to IG Live, you can simultaneously stream to your podcast platform. You can stream to Facebook Live. You can stream to your YouTube channel, and
oh my God,
it's just pushing it all out there for the world for you.
Oh my God, I feel like I should have asked you these questions before we decided to do this, because I'm like, I'm learning all these things that I'm gonna have to watch the replay and write down all these things. Oh my God, that's no, it's crazy that these things even exist, and a lot of people, they're just like, oh, again, I'll use myself and Amanda as an example. We're like, oh, we'll just interview some people on Instagram Live, and then we'll just go from there. I mean,
yeah, I know, and I love that.
But there's a lot of work that goes into it, right?
For sure. So you want to maximize that, right? And a lot of people are afraid of the editing process. And, podcasting is not something that, there's a right way to do, right? So as it's changed, over the course of the time it started to now, I've seen even just in the last 3 years, podcasting change. The idea of recording a podcast over Zoom was unimaginable to me prior to the pandemic.
I was going to say, until 2020 hit.
Yeah.
People are doing everything on Zoom.
And how cool, right? Like that we can, have these virtual connections and not have to be physically in town to really work together.
Yeah, I mean, so just a little background. I know that's how we connected initially, right? We were on your podcast.
Absolutely. And I was blown away. Not only were you able to serve our audience, but the opportunities that came from that, right? In terms of vendor relationships and client relationships. I was totally impressed.
Yeah, well, and this whole, I hate the expression, the new normal, but it really is the new normal that we're all living in. But, I feel like it's just put us on a trajectory of social connection faster than Facebook or Instagram ever did, even though, everybody was social before the pandemic, right? Everybody was connecting virtually, but it's like on a whole new level now. Like people, this is their primary source of getting to know other people and building relationships. I think it's like totally just skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even in the past 6 months for me personally, it was weird to think of, younger kids breaking out their phones and just recording videos for no reason. And, they're just so comfortable. Like the idea of setting up a camera on a tripod and just dancing for your friends is weird to me. But now here we are, I'm talking to you through a camera and I'm on video and I'm okay with it. It's all right.
Absolutely. So I was, you had sent me some questions that your audience, your network had, submitted that they wanted to have asked, and I totally didn't have them. I did not print them out, did not have them in front of me. So I was able to grab my laptop and turn it on. So I got it. So I did want to just throw a couple questions out there that people want to know the answer to. And one of these is my favorite question. I usually end the interview with it, but I'll just ask it now. What's the worst advice you've ever heard or received, like someone's ever given you in business that no one should ever listen to?
Yeah, that's really good. One I'd say is like, people are just going to find you if you post, regularly. Like, the marketing side of it, I think, is not spoken enough about. If you especially are in business, there's this misconception that, we're just here creating and having a ball, but there's a lot more to it that you're not seeing. And, I think that whole, if I just post on social media, I'm just going to get clients and people are just going to know I'm legitimate.
We call that posting and praying.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the worst advice. Like I've seen, like so many people are fixated on their analytics on social media, and it's like, but is that really generating an ROI? Like, what does that even look like?
Yep. And for those of you at home, an ROI is return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like,
no, it's so true. Because your time is the most valuable thing you have, and if you're spending time on something that's not making you money or making you generate business, then it's not worth it.
For sure. And, when I first started, especially the business podcast editor, marketing and online business was an entirely different beast than what I had just started gaining experience and traction in as, a massage therapist with a private practice. And so as I was navigating that, I was, throwing $10, throwing $20 here at, Instagram and Facebook ads. And all I was really getting was likes. And it's like, okay, so is this just feeding my ego, or am I really like doing something wrong? Like, what am I like? Oh, I need to spend $500 just to get anybody even like see my thing? Okay, why am I wasting my money?
Yeah, right. And just to that note, because something that, our both of us, right? Our business is to, build relationships and connect with other people, but also to understand the social media side of the business, right? You have to have an ad up for over 7 days before the algorithm learns what the patterns are. So if you have anybody that's trying to put an advertisement, I mean, that's just like a fun fact, but if you have an ad up for only 7 days, you're going to get 0 results, basically, maybe a few here and there, because it takes that long to update, to learn the algorithm.
And so what the heck, like, why is there not, why is that not just more accessible information out there? Because as soon as it comes out, they change it on you again.
I know. And, that actually came straight from Facebook. Facebook told me that.
Wow.
We work with them a lot for advertising. So, we work with marketing experts, and that was one of the things they said. And they said, if you have an ad running for longer than 7 days, or if you have an ad running and you change the either the demographics or the time frame or the budget, you have to do it after day 7. If not, it restarts your algorithm. It has to be. That's why you usually, when people have ads running for 10, 14 days, the second half of it is always a bigger push, and you get more results because it's now learning.
That's so discouraging. So meanwhile, there's more effective ways to do this, and just posting all over your social media account and throwing money at the wind is probably not the best strategy.
No, I know. It's what I was going to say. But no, it's so true. All right. So that's the worst advice. What's the best advice?
I'd say the best advice is, be consistent and keep showing up. It's not a matter of if, just a matter of when.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, I feel like you see this a lot just in general with and I think females are more guilty of this than anybody else. We give up right before we're at the precipice of something great because we're so discouraged, or we have imposter syndrome or something like that. You know what I mean? And we're so like stuck in comparing, or oh, I've been consistent, nothing's coming of it. And then you're
totally,
you're literally on the brink of something like huge, but you gave up just shy of it.
Well, and it's okay to take a break. So, I don't know if you knew this, but in the beginning of March, actually at the end of February, I learned that the office where I had been renting my massage practice was being given to another business. I didn't even know that was like a thing. Like, I didn't know that could happen.
Oh my God.
But here we were, I was being presented this opportunity to either move into another office space, which didn't really meet my needs, or to basically just move out. And so that day I was pretty emotional, and I, decided, hey, like, this is a great time for me to just leave my massage practice. Like, I'm in a transitional period. Let me just dedicate more time and focus into my podcast business. That night, slept on it. The next morning, it was like this whole thing, like, oh yeah, maybe this is God's way of closing the door and just telling me to move on. Yeah. And then that morning, I'm like, heck no, like, screw this. If I don't want to like close my massage business, I don't have to close it. And so that afternoon, a business reached out to me, and they had heard what was going on, and they ended up actually beginning to remodel one of their old buildings for me to move in. So in 2 weeks, I'll have a brick and mortar, on a main street, and it's like 3 doors down from a bakery, and it's like all the moms that are going to be driving by and all the different fun things. And so I got so excited, and it's like, if I wasn't, consistent, and if I wasn't, showing up, and if I wasn't there for it, I would just quit. And I would just give up. But this is just one example, right? There's plenty of times where you can think about when the pandemic started. I couldn't maintain 6 feet of distance and do massages, but that didn't stop me from generating an income.
You pivoted, right? I think that was like the word of the year for 2020. pivoted, which I literally am not a fan of the word. I'm a fan of the process. I'm a fan of actually pivoting, but I do not like the word because I think I've heard it so damn much in 2020 and 2021.
I know, I
But
know.
it's crazy. Like, but I guess the concept of it, it's huge. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to be able
Absolutely.
to take, take shit and turn it into something beautiful.
Absolutely. And, and this pause, while they've been remodeling the building has been, really encouraging. And it's been a real blessing. And it's been a real nice opportunity for me to be like, you know what, I don't want to lose my massage practice and I don't have to.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I know you have a new daughter recently, somewhat recently. So how has that changed your workflow?
Yeah. So having Lana is definitely different. I have an older daughter, Abigail. She's 7. And so, when I started the business podcast editor, she was, doing school at home, and my business was slow, so I had a lot more flexibility in my schedule. So then she went back to school. I got pregnant, and that was so different, navigating morning sickness and exhaustion and being pregnant
Oh,
to
yeah.
even, managing podcasts while I was on like maternity leave. Like I didn't quite experience maternity leave the traditional way that people that work a corporate job would experience. And so now, she's 7 months old, and, she's a lot more active. She doesn't take naps. And so, when it comes to changing my workflow, there's often times where she's showing up on my discovery calls, or she's, an active part of what I have going on at that time, whether it means, I have to carry her along while I'm editing a podcast or I'm on the phone, and I have to pause a podcast recording because she's screaming her head off in the background.
Yeah.
Things take a lot longer. And I think, with Abigail being so much older, I really forgot that it takes twice as long to get out of the house, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it definitely takes twice as long to get anything done around the house as well.
Yeah, but you know what? You make it work because, I think you hit on such a great point. When you're an entrepreneur, when you own your own business, whether you're working at home or you have an office space, but you're your own boss, if you don't work, you don't get paid pretty much, right? You don't get this, 12 weeks of paid maternity leave.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you have to work your butt off and you have to find a way to make it happen. And you pivot, you find workarounds, you find a way to, accommodate whatever needs to be done. And I think that's huge. So like kudos to you for doing that. And I think
Thank
that
you. Yeah.
that's empowering for a lot of, young moms, new moms, or soon to be moms that are working, or that have their own business. It's, you're a living, breathing example. That's the way to do it. Don't set, don't get so hard on yourself either.
For sure, yeah, the grace thing, that mom guilt is real, and, you're going to be hard on yourself. And, it's the same thing with if you don't feel like you got what you wanted done that day, you try not to be so discouraged that, all those tasks didn't get accomplished. Instead, you just be grateful that you had the opportunity to get to.
Definitely. Love that. All right. So I want to know, one of your questions from your network, they wanted to know, how do you know when you should get an LLC?
Yeah,
And I'm
I
going
thought
to
that
add
was
to
a
that.
really interesting.
Well, yeah, I was going to add to that and say, how do you know when to get either an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp, or a DBA? Because really, you could get any of them depending on your company.
Or you could get none of them. I mean,
Yeah.
so that was my thought was, this is definitely a great question for you to ask your accountant or tax professional because, ultimately it's what's best for you. A lot of times people jump into getting an LLC without really thinking about it. They just see LLC and they think, oh, well, I have a business, so I need one. Not really understanding that they don't have any liability or risk associated with their business. My massage practice is an LLC, but I am literally touching people.
Yes.
My business podcast editor is not an LLC because I don't feel like there's a lot of risk with it.
I will say, my advice is yes. One, talk to your tax professional. We are not accountants. We are not here or at liberty to give tax advice. However, if there is a partnership in your business, so you have a business partner, one or two, that's when, in my opinion, when you should start exploring your business incorporation or limited liability or whatever it is, whatever avenue, getting yourself legally recognized as a business if there's more than one person versus
For
sole
sure.
proprietor.
For sure, because then it starts to get messy with the money, and
Yeah.
it's already messy with just one person's money.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely, obviously, go to an accountant. And then, when should I hire an accountant?
Yeah.
When you start accepting money from people for your business, or you start
And
paying
that's
for,
another
or you
one.
start paying for things for your business.
For
So
sure, or, if you enjoy the bookkeeping part of your business and it's not causing you a headache, there's no reason to take it off. But I'm a firm believer that as soon as you can outsource something, take something off your plate and buy back more of your time, I'm here for it. So if you can afford
yeah,
to have an accountant now, it's only going to save you time in the long run to have that professional there to help you out.
yeah. I actually like that those two questions were asked because honestly, um, I wish I knew then what I know now. When we started our business, the first thing we did was, become incorporated, Amanda and I, but we didn't have an accountant until like 3 weeks before our taxes were due, which was like an oh shit moment. Like, oh shit, we have to do this.
Well, and what's stressful about that is, like, I've been there, so I get it, where you're just like holding your breath because you don't know what to expect in terms of what they're going to charge you. You don't know what to expect in terms of what they're asking from you. And you
Mm-hmm.
also don't know what to expect in terms of, am I going to get money back? Am I going to, oh, I didn't really save money. How much do you save? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
to do. And it's like, what a butt cheek tightener.
yeah. No, it's so true. But honestly, I don't think it's spoken about enough. I actually said this on the last interview we had 2 weeks ago. I don't think business financials are talked about enough, especially by women, in platforms like this, because education and knowledge is power. And the second you start spending a dime on your business, in my personal opinion, whether that's putting gas in your car to go purchase ink for your business to print something, which I did today, ironically, or the second you go to buy a stamp to mail a thank you card to a customer, or the second you pay $1 to Facebook for an advertisement, whatever it is, start keeping those records and start looking into, your financial options, because um, everything, related to your business needs to be explored and needs to be itemized and documented so that you can see if it's valuable, if it's a viable expense for your business. And I just don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think business loans are talked about enough. I don't think grants. I don't think something I'm a big proponent of is utilizing, other people's money to grow your business. And when I say that, I mean is, interest-free loans, SBA grants, things like that. There's so much free money available on the table. And I think that
And the
women,
SBA, they always are offering like free webinars and
tons.
resources, and you can call them if you're confused or have any questions. Like, that's the thing, is you don't know what you don't know, first of all. But second of all, like, because you don't know what you don't know, ask, utilize your resources, tap into your network, because there are people like us who, we've had to navigate some of those pain points. Sure, we might not be in the same industry. Sure, we might not be aligned, but we understand a lot of the pain points
Mm-hmm.
and can save you that time.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes people want to try to figure out their own way or try to, change the path. And it's like, at the end of the day, we all have similar struggles when it comes to starting a business and managing that road.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. Those free webinars, tons available, because they want to help business owners grow. They want to help business owners succeed, because the more knowledge you have, the less work it is for, Uncle Sam to have to come after you for taxes, or the SBA to have to walk you through a process. By providing you that guidance, it's super helpful, honestly.
I agree.
So talk a little bit about your podcast. Are you looking for more guests? The United State of Women. Tell me about that. Tell me about if you're looking for guests, if you would like to find a guest, what this
Yeah,
season
our
upcoming is
podcast,
looking like.
totally. Over 100 episodes now. We have been going on for 3 years. This
Yay.
year's theme is all around mindset. So if you are a woman and you are in the self-improvement industry and you are interested in being a guest on our podcast, just send me a message because I'd love to have you on, and share, any kind of helpful tips or resources you might have for our audience. And if you're here to promote your book or your guide or your resource or something, that really interested me recently is, a lot of people are getting into emotional trauma healing, things from your past, right? This past couple of years have been kind of exhausting. So if you'd love to
Yeah.
reach out and talk to me, or if you've pivoted and you might be a millennial entrepreneur who might understand what it's like to have started a business, we can really share a lot of relatability. Let's chat.
I love that. And I have somebody for you right away. And she usually watches this every other week. But our good friend Danielle, she is a spiritual guide, healer, intuitive, and does tons of free education on manifestation and mindset and really healing. So I would love to connect the two of you. She's like one of Amanda and I's best friends, and she would be amazing.
Sounds like a perfect fit.
Oh my God. As soon as you were saying that, I'm like, where's Danielle? I need to find her. But, yeah, she's Danielle Grace Oracle on Instagram, but I'll also send you her information.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So this year's theme is all about mindset. And how many episodes do you do a year? Like 30?
Yeah, we do one episode a week. So it's going to be, we started with every other week and then moved to once a week in 2020 when we were all stuck at home and we were recording all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so now we just put out, today was 116th episode.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Awesome. That's amazing. And where can we find your podcast?
Yeah, anywhere, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Google, yeah, definitely. Just search United States of Women. It's a little pink podcast cover logo.
Yes, and you're on Instagram also.
Yeah, at USW Kokomo.
At USW Kokomo. And we'll put everything in the description of this once it's uploaded and on YouTube and all those things. So, all right. So what else should aspiring female entrepreneurs and or podcast hosts know? Like if you could summarize it in like one or two sentences.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's okay.
It's a lot and it's okay. I think that sums up owning a business. Like that's actually probably the best expression. It's a lot, but it's okay.
I never saw myself as a business owner. I wasn't the young girl that aspired to want to have her own business. And, I'm definitely somebody that's still trying to figure life out. But I can tell you that, starting these businesses has been so great for my family. It's been so great for, me and my mental health. And, I can't imagine having to, have worked a full-time job, this last pregnancy, and then now to be able to be home. I'm really thankful. It hasn't been easy, but again, it's
rewarding.
Yeah, it's okay, right? Like I'm still here. Like I'm always like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, so just keep pushing.
And the business podcast editor is you provide support services, editing services for anybody and everybody that has a business podcast, or to help them get started. Do you also do like consulting or like helping people like pre-launch, I guess I would say?
Totally. So if you don't have a podcast and you want to start a podcast, I help you with the whole total launch, get you started. And then beyond that, my biggest goal is to just really take the headache and the pain out of podcasting. My clients really appreciate being able to send me recordings and being able to trust that their show is going to show up and that their marketing materials will be in their email. And, they don't have to really be overwhelmed with posting on social media regularly or, trying to navigate one more thing when it comes to having a podcast on their plate.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I have so many questions for you because I'm like, well, what kind of microphone do you need? Do you need a Rode mic?
Oh, yeah. And that's you're right. And so, when it comes to equipment, you can go as affordable as, the headphones in your cell phone. and you can go as expensive as, $200-300 Rode mics, and you can spend the, $1,500 for a full mix board. It really just depends on where your goals are and where your budget is. But honestly, if you're not even sure if podcasting is a good fit for you, just begin with your phone. Just begin with recording on Zoom. You don't have to complicate it. People that are celebrities put out, less than quality audio, and people are still listening. So don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Everybody has a message to share. Everybody has a story to tell. It's just figuring out kind of what your story is that you want to tell, what message you want to share with your community, with your tribe. And
Yeah,
just honing in on
absolutely.
that.
For sure.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This has been so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, cooking for a master chef, right? It's like I'm sitting here interviewing the podcast interviewer, so it's a little bit different.
That's so funny. And I'm over here just like, this is so cool. I get to be on somebody's
I know.
podcast.
No, but seriously, like this is so much fun, and like I said, I just want to help share your message. So if anybody one needs to know if podcasting is a right fit for them, or they want to figure out how to launch their message or how to do better on their podcast or messaging, reach out to Julie. All of her information will be in the description of this. It'll be tagged. But she's amazing, and we love her, and I'm just so happy that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'd love to offer your audience, if anyone wants to send me a message, I normally sell a guide to launching a podcast, $22. But if you send me a message and you told me you watched this live, I'll give it to you for free.
Whoop whoop. All right. So definitely, I will make sure that we put that in there. So go find Julie, Indie Mompreneur. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. On Instagram. Let her know that you watched her on the Empower Hour with Peace and Plenty and Julie Deem, and she will give you the guide for free. That is amazing. Thank you. That is wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Well, talk to you soon. All right. And as always, you guys, we will be back in 2 weeks, which I think that is April 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will see you then. Thank you all for joining. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.